good evening.
Good evening.
And for
Good
everyone
start.
who's watching me like scribble things, it's because we just had an update on the board.
Yes.
With the so there's just been an update on the board. We're now at 38.84%.
Yes.
Of voting districts counted.
Yes.
And so that updated the results for on the national ballot.
Yes.
And so it updated the results for all of the political parties. So when I sat down here with you,
yes,
the ANC was at about 1.8 million or so votes. And then as the out of 5 million counted,
yes,
and then as the update was done, the ANC crossed the threshold of 2 million. So the ANC is now at 2,133,000 votes and 454. The DA is at 1,213,264. So the ANC is now at about 43%.
Yes.
Out of the 5 million votes that are counted. The DA is at 24% out of the 5 million votes that are counted. So that's an increase, I think, of about 3% for the DA, a drop of about 14 percentage points for the ANC from 2019. And then we see there that the EFF is still lagging behind Umkhonto weSizwe. EFF is at 467,000 votes and 99. And so that makes it about, sorry, I'm just doing a quick calculation so I can talk about
obviously
it.
Did. She's literally live data crunching.
That's about 9.3% for the EFF.
Okay.
And then for MK, it is about, with what we have so far, that's about 9.6% for MK at this stage, with 38.84% of the vote counted, of the voting districts counted,
yes,
which makes up about 5 million actual votes that have been counted. And I think there's something interesting that's happening here, and I was listening to the conversation that you were having with the CSIR earlier, is that what we're seeing is that with a lot of the more northern provinces, so by about midday today, we had the majority of voting districts counted in the Northern Cape, in the Western Cape, and we had about just under half of the Eastern Cape counted. So the Northern and the Western Cape were almost were well over 50% of them were counted by about midday, 1 o'clock. And so now we're seeing that the other provinces, particularly the more northern provinces, Gauteng, Limpopo, Northwest, Mpumalanga, are catching up. KZN and Gauteng are the two provinces, though, whose results have lagged. And we know that in Gauteng we had voting stations closed very in the early, actually like 5 a.m. this morning when I woke up to prepare to come here. I was still seeing people saying, okay, I'm about to leave. The final people are just voting at my voting station in Hatfield, and the University of, for the students at the University of Pretoria. And so because of those delays in voting and how late voting stations closed, that then created delays in the counting of the results, because remember, the count of the vote happens at each voting station after voting closes. And then what happens is that the results from each voting station get sent to the IEC's regional offices, and then they need to be put into the system, and then they need to be audited and checked. And so it's only those results that are actually audited that make it onto the screen over here. And so because of the delays in the voting stations closing, and then there were the delays in the count happening at the actual voting stations, and then there was the delay in doing the data capture, and then there's been the delay in the actual auditing, the results are coming in, and this has been a challenge for the CSIR, is that the results are coming in batches. So what we ordinarily would have had, and what we've had in previous elections, is because there's this flow, right, of the voting stations closed, then results happen, and then things go to the IEC. There's this steady stream of results that come in over the course of the hours after the election has closed, right, and has ended. what we've had this year is that because there were all of these delays and quite localized backlogs, right? So we know, I think it's Region 3 in Gauteng or in the city of Johannesburg where, voting materials arrived late, and so voting started late and then closed late, whatever. We saw what happened at Wits University. We've seen what's happened in some parts of Tshwane. And so because there've been all of these delays, and it's delayed the whole process, you've got these batches of audited results that are coming in at a time, and then huge lags in between. And so what that means is that for organizations like the CSIR that are trying to make predictions that are based on the number of voting districts that are coming in, it's been really challenging, because also it's based on assumptions around the sort of the national average, right? And so when you have the two provinces that have the biggest voting populations, Gauteng and KZN, lagging so far behind, they usually always do lag, but they're lagging so far behind a province like the Northern Cape, which always comes in quickly.
I mean, they're at 93% at this point.
And which always comes in quickly. What you have then is that it's really difficult to have real accuracy of the predictions and things like turnout, and also to be making, accurate predictions also around the newer entrants. And in this election, we have a lot of new entrants, one particular new entrant that's making a big impact on the whole election.